Good morning. I am running around trying to get stuff done before work, but I need this. So, ta-da, I got it. Let's go. You can live a perfectly normal life if you accept that your life will never be perfectly normal. Heard around the rooms. Okay, we admit that we have been behaving insanely and our lives have become unmanageable. This is something we learn early on in 12-step recovery. But admitting fault does not make us poster children for sane and manageable living. For many of us, there was no sanity to return to once we owned up to the step 2 proposition of being and or acting insane. Sobriety can become the new normal and addictive behavior abnormal. Instead of returning to sanity, we can just start living more sanely. We don't expect carefree lives or a perfect record of decision making. Associated with the steps are promises, not unattainable carrots, but the actual experiences of members who have done some step work. How normal will be unique to each of us. Normal will involve the promises unfolding as well as regression and setbacks. We master old situations that once set us off, but now new poor choices will be fumbled through. Let's not demand a refund from recovery the first time we fear for our financial security. Shame is at the core of many addicts. If we feel vulnerable, inadequate, and unworthy, it seems normal to seek the refuge of intoxication. Acting out postponed our troubles. It didn't cure them. In therapy or in the rooms, we are able to differentiate guilt, doing a bad thing, from shame, being a bad person. Love from others can't get through if we don't feel worthy. Taking small steps by being considerate to others, doing good things, chips away at shame. We slowly feel better about ourselves and consider the possibility that we are worthy of love too. As others care for us, we learn to care for ourselves and think more of others. Insanity is isolating. We drive others away and become paranoid. Recovery requires engaging with others. Can I define recovery, manageable, or sanity in my own words? What is my new normal? I like Dr. Mate because he explains that, there is no normal. There's no normal. And I think as, raised as a Jehovah's Witness, I always thought that other people in the congregation were much more together than I was. And if you're a good speaker, if you're a public speaker, you look like you have it together, but your families could be falling apart. And I realized that later. When I would go back and talk to individuals that were, or I have talked to individuals that have been in that kind of elite elder / pioneer family where all the kids look like they're all doing, what they're trained to do, right? What we're trained to do. And it looks like the perfect family, and when in actuality, the family is falling apart. It's all the behind the scenes things that we don't see. I appreciated that shame is at the core of many addicts, and if we feel vulnerable, inadequate, and unworthy, it seems normal to seek refuge in intoxication. And I think I always compare my religious beliefs to addiction, because I just think that instead of realizing that everybody feels vulnerable, everybody feels inadequate, and everyone feels unworthy, right? It seems like it was even more, that unworthiness was, it reached how God viewed us as unworthy, right? Undeserving of his love, undeserved kindness. And so that just put me in a more vulnerable position as a human being, because I could never reach, it was never attainable. Being worthy was never attainable. It wasn't. So, being able to differentiate guilt and shame, right? Guilt, doing a bad thing, and shame, being a bad person, it just seemed like one and the same. So it would never get better for me. Love, right? Love, it did make a difference, but I had to be out in order for me to see what really love was, because I could see that people loved outside of my religion, but the way that they showed it was so different from the way that insiders showed it, especially to their children, because it was always conditional. The love that the religion and the families inside the religion had for their children depended on whether the children were doing what was right, quote, normally right for Jehovah's Witnesses. Getting baptized, becoming a pioneer, becoming a ministerial servant, right? There were certain caste systems or steps that you had to be in order for you to be acceptable. So, yeah, it's funny when I left, because I got an opportunity to see how families really treated their children. And the 12 steps is interesting because it's helpful in that for addicts, right? People who are in full-blown alcoholism, and you're the one that is the codependent. You have to try and understand, to leave them alone, to let them fall, right? And then to give them some sort of grace, right? That you still love them, but you love them, and when you let them deal with their problems and not rescue them. And I think to an extent that is, that's I think that's very healthy. But I also think that there's like an understanding that you have to have as a codependent to realize that this person is ill, and that trauma from the past, genetics from the past has affected this individual. And so unfortunately, you're dealing with someone who has these challenges. So there's a lot in here. There's a lot. But for me, like I said, my religion was my addiction. And it's nice to know that I can differentiate my shame versus my guilt, right? Shame and guilt, and being a bad person and doing a bad thing, right? The difference. Sorry, it's hot here. It's still warm. And you're hearing the trash trucks. They're so loud. If I don't get up early enough, this is what happens. And I actually got up this morning. We went out to the beach. We got a chance to put our feet in the water. So it was nice. We got a chance to do a lot of stuff, but I'm running around trying to get stuff done. And it's loud. I might just stop this for a second and eat my mango and hemp. I got hemp seeds and mango. I'm trying to do a lot for my brain to make it work a little better. I think too, growing up, there was always, it's that we slowly feel better about ourselves and consider the possibility that we are worthy of love too. And the love in the organization is conditional. And with Christians, I mean, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be love unconditionally, but the Bible is not unconditional love, there's a condition to it. There's always conditions. You do certain things, otherwise you're damned and you end up having to go to hell, right? Or for Jehovah's Witnesses, it's the common grave of mankind, which means that there is no real fiery destruction or anything like that under the earth. You just die and you don't go into God's memory and you won't get resurrected. So it's a lot of belief systems that, as an addict of religion, I had to let go of. And it takes time. It's nice to laugh through it. I like Ricky Gervais. I like him. Or Gervais. I don't know how you say it. I have never really understood the last part of his name, but Ricky, he's cool. I like him. And he did a whole series, and he wrote it up, and it was on Netflix, I believe. I sat through it and I listened to him. I did what I needed to do, even if it felt uncomfortable, to listen to the other side. And that made a difference in my recovery, to listen to things that made me uncomfortable. It took some time. And I would always, this is how I felt when it came to my apostate husband. If I could go to a door and knock on a door and listen to someone else on the other side of the door that did not have my beliefs, did not hold the same belief system that I had, and give them respect, then I should be able to do that in my home to someone who I loved. I really loved. So despite the fact that on a talk or a district convention, or when brothers would give talks about how we should view apostates, I didn't do that. I didn't view them that way. This like, oh, you should hate them and you should stay away from them and you should never listen to them and all this stuff. Because I saw my husband and he was loving and kind. He loved us. He was doing things for me. He wasn't making my life difficult. In fact, he was making my life easier. We'd go to a different state. He'd find the Kingdom Hall. I mean, it was, I don't suggest that, because please don't go finding the Kingdom Hall for them. I told him later, I said, if you hadn't found the Kingdom Hall for me, I don't think I would have gone, because I didn't know those people. I knew the ones that were in California, but I didn't know the ones that we were going to go into a different area. I didn't know people there. And because of all the awareness that I did have of child molesters in Kingdom Halls, and who I knew that walked around our district convention, who I knew were Jehovah's Witness baptized men, and a woman I knew, and they had molested people in our district, and I knew they were walking around freely. I got fearful. I wasn't going to go finding a Kingdom Hall where people I didn't know could possibly be predators. I already knew that. So yeah, he kicks himself now. Well, you know, I'm just saying, don't go finding the Kingdom Hall for the people that you love. They'll do it. Let them figure it out. It's kind of like, you know, like I said, with any other addict, let them figure it out. This is another one that I really liked. It said, insanity is isolating. We drive others away and become paranoid. Recovery requires engaging with others. And yes, that is so true. Being able to talk to people about some of the things that you have gone through as a Jehovah's Witness, whether it be in a group setting or you feel safe enough to talk to someone on an individuals, on a one-on-one. There's a lot of Facebook groups that you can type in and you can feel, you know, you can put your feelings down and then they'll type in something else and you can read the comments as they're typing in what the conversation amongst each other. And then you get to see that you're not alone. And managing that insanity, you know, whether it be you're dealing with a family member that is one of Jehovah's Witnesses and they're very difficult and hard-headed and they're making life, you question your choices. And I think you become paranoid even as someone who's just with them, because you're feeding off of each other. You live with each other. So you all become paranoid about what, you know, oh, did he see this on my phone? Or I was looking at this YouTube video and I hope they didn't notice this, or it was on my history, and oh, did they see that I called this person, or is this person calling me and I know that they are not Jehovah's Witnesses anymore, and you know, or this person is an apostate. Some of the conversations I've had with people who have left, of course they've left, but they've never really actually done any research on some of the feelings that they still have about being Jehovah's Witnesses or about Jehovah's Witnesses. They didn't read Crisis of Conscience. They didn't know some of the facts that are out there now about Jehovah's Witnesses and how they got started. And then, so they have this cloud above them where they're, you know, they left, but they're not apostates. Well, anybody who leaves, right, and who leaves their religious beliefs is considered a runaway slave. And so they will say, well, I'm not an apostate. Well, I am, and so are they. But you have to do all that research. You have to understand that it's not about this label. It's about just having different choices and making different choices in your life. And it doesn't mean that you have to believe what you were raised to believe. So, and that's called freedom of mind. So, you know, when normalcy, again, normal, what's normal? I mean, anyone who leaves their religion and their beliefs is considered someone who is an apostate. So, yeah, I'm eating mango, and it has like all these little pieces of hemp all over. Of course, probably not something I should be eating in front of a camera, but you know, whatever. Like I said, I'm working and doing things, and I have to like feed myself well, and then feed myself well when it comes to all the things that I'm reading and learning, and hopefully be able to help someone in the process, right? And that's the point, is being able to do this. I cannot believe that I'm able to do this freely in my home, and to be able to share this with someone all across the world, and that we can help each other that way. So please send me comments. I would love to have I would love to know what you're thinking and where you live, because we really have a very small community. 1% of the population are Jehovah's Witnesses. And I think it's even smaller since YouTube and, you know, different things that have Facebook. You have different groups. Liberati, I joined the Liberati. So I'm really encouraged, and I'm really proud of individuals that have set up things so that there's the resources that ex-Jehovah's Witnesses can go to and feel free to be able to help each other, because we're a very small community of individuals. And yet it seems like it has affected the outside world. If you start talking to people and individuals and explain to them that you are no longer associated with this group, someone always knows someone who was a Jehovah's Witness in their family, or our family, their distant family, and because they don't associate with, quote, the world, they don't have anything to do with those members that are Jehovah's Witnesses. So it's interesting when you start to be able to converse with people and start to feel the walls coming down, and you can explain some of the things that have happened to you. It's so amazing to hear other people's input about our situation, or about my situation, because I have done that. I have explained to people what I've gone through. It's very relieving. And you get to see compassion and love from individuals that you don't even know. And they treat you like a human being instead of how you've been treated within an organization that claims to love, right? Love their people. Nope. So yes, get a hold of an Al-Anon meeting if you can, and get on Facebook groups. The Liberati is something that I thought was very helpful to people, and they seem to be doing what they can, because we still have our lives to live, and we're still trying to get our bearings in what comes from getting healthy again, to get our minds and bodies healthy. And I don't think there is a normal. So, that's okay. And you just learn to live. You learn to live and not be paranoid and not be scared every time you make a mistake. Mistakes are part of learning. It's part of failing, is part of success. And little by little, I've learned that. It's taken some time. It takes time to learn these things. So I hope you're having a good day. I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Healing takes time, and I wish I could speed it up. I wish I could speed it up for you. I wish I could speed it up for me, but that's not how it works. It takes time, and you're not alone. So yeah, I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Follow your bliss and be good.